So with just over 4 weeks to go until my goal marathon, there will be no more new shoes coming in to test, or there might be, but they're not going to be getting into this rotation. So today I thought I'd share the 8 shoes that I've used in this marathon build-up and then give you that ideal 3-shoe rotation that I've been testing. I will also share at the end the 2 shoes that I did really want to test in this block. However, it's not happened. Hopefully it will happen soon. Now in this marathon build-up, and as I've got specific for the workouts leading into this marathon, it's been a bit of a blend of double threshold, single threshold, and now more recently some marathon specific workouts. So there will be some shoes that you'll look at and go, I can see exactly why you're using them. There'll be others that you'll say, not sure I'd be putting that one into the rotation. So without further ado, let's get into the easy shoes that I've been using. And the On Cloud Surfer 2 was the first one, which really just got a couple of runs before I've ended up retiring that one. So I won't spend too much time on this because I've covered it a fair bit over the last few months. I will just clarify also, these totals that you see on screen are from 10 weeks out from the marathon. So they've effectively been the last 6 weeks of training because we're pretty much now 4 weeks out. As I said, that was nearing 200 miles. I got a couple more runs in it. Still could have carried on. I just fancied a bit of a change, that I was mixing it up with another Easy Day shoe. Both of them kind of felt like they'd had their shelf life. Although I will say I preferred this shoe, the On Cloud Surfer 2, to the next one. The New Balance Rebel version 5 was the other one. It's got a few runs in it before again I retired that one, got that one to a good milestone, 200 miles I think it was, and just parked it there. I didn't want to take that one any further. It got to the point where it just felt like it was running on mush. So when I got that shoe initially, I took it for a sub-threshold workout basically, because it is meant to be an up-tempo shoe. Very quickly realised, very comfortable. However, it was more of an Easy Day shoe for me. Got to the point where I didn't even really want to take it on a steady run, so it really never got too many steady miles, other than if I felt good and picked it up a little bit at the end of an easy run or threw some strides in it. And even then, it's probably the worst shoe that I've used for strides. The foam became mush after around 50 miles. There was absolutely 100% sink and 0% bounce. So as both of those shoes were approaching 200 miles, I was scouting around for another Easy Day shoe. Puma Velocity Nitro 4 was really the one that was top of my list, but Asics reached out and sent me the Gel Nimbus 27, which to be fair was released I think back earlier in January or February this year, so quite an old shoe already. I should think the new version of 28 is just around the corner. I tested it out, didn't really think I was going to get on with it, and have been extremely surprised with that shoe. Logged a lot of miles. It has now become my go-to Easy Day shoe. I'm not usually a huge fan of big bulky shoes, and I will say the Asics Gel Nimbus 27 is definitely on the heavier side of things. However, it's one of those shoes where I don't really feel the weight of it. It provides good cushion. It's not that classic really soft sink in and not a lot of bounce like I experienced in the Rebel. The foam is actually slightly firmer than what I expected, which is what I prefer, and I think for me that was the biggest shock. So it's actually been a really enjoyable ride. The one complaint I had with that shoe alongside the weight of it was that I did get a little bit of ankle rubbing in the start, the first few runs. That seems to have gone away. I think I mentioned in some of those videos I'm hoping this goes away. I can confirm it has, and I'm already at 70 miles in the shoe. And now we're already on to the speedier shoe, so I'll instantly throw in the Puma Farstar Nitro Elite 3. That's only had one run, it was a race. I have to include it in this marathon block, but I'm not really going to include it in my rotation. It's not going to be my marathon shoe if you saw the previous video. However, I have used it. I used it for that half marathon, and I think potentially it's put me out of Sunday's race. I'm very sore after that. Definitely a shoe that I'm going to be keeping for 5 and 10Ks. Might have to rest up this weekend so that I can get one more big week banked next week before bringing it down for the taper. Still got the mileage in this week. It's just not looking like the original plan as I'd hoped. However, the Puma DV8 Nitro Elite 3, which was my favourite racing shoe up until the Farstar came out, which I PB'd in all the distances earlier this year, has been absolutely phenomenal, and that's had a few runs in it this training block as well. I've retired it from racing around about 110, 120 miles. It had plenty more racing life in it, so I didn't retire it because it was null and void. That foam is super durable. I just had other racing shoes coming in, which we'll mention in a second. The Farstar is one of them. and I've used it for some of the workouts just to mix things up with the other Speedy A Day shoe that I've been using, or the other super shoe that I've been using in training. And once again, this shoe is, I think, 170 odd miles, so nearly at the 200 mile mark, and going really strong. Potentially the best value investment that I have made with my own money this year. Absolutely fantastic in the races, absolutely fantastic in training as well. The Asics Metaspeed Sky Tokyo was the other one that's come in. I was doing some testing whether I wanted to use that for my marathon or not. I'm kind of on the fence with it. I really enjoyed it. It's lighter weight than the Adios Pro 3, which is in line to be my racing shoe. I just didn't feel too much of a difference between that and the Pro 3, so it comes down to whether it's worth a lighter weight package or something that I prefer, and just do all my sessions and all my runs in. I feel like I'm still gravitating towards the Pro 3. In my mind, it feels like the logical decision. The Metaspeed was really good, it just didn't blow me away. However, this will get a couple more runs in this block just to see if it will change my mind. If it doesn't, no worries, I'm stuck with the Pro 3, which I'm very happy with. The Brooks Hyperion Max 3, nearly forgot to mention that then. This one should have been a bit earlier in the video. So this one was sent to me by Brooks. I've tested it out, so it's got a couple of runs in it. I was wondering whether it might be something that could replace my Adios Pro 3, which is coming up next. For just a few of the runs, I found it in the testing to be a comfortable shoe, a better update than version 2, but still relatively on that bulky side. It did soften up in the second run, and for me, to be honest, I do prefer a firmer midsole. The first run was actually quite firm, maybe a little bit too much. The second one felt a little bit better, a little bit more what I'm used to from the Brooks Performance shoes. So I do need to give it a few more runs. I'm just looking at my schedule coming up and thinking I'm not sure I want to drop it in any of the upcoming stuff. To be honest with you, it's not particularly the one that I'm going to be gravitating towards, and we'll get to that when we get to the 3 shoe rotation. And as I just mentioned, the Adidas Pro 3 is the one that's taken the bulk of the miles. So the pair that I got in for this marathon block and I've been using before throughout the summer has already nearly got 300 miles on it. It's going to be a shoe that I use throughout the whole block, and for threshold work and sub-threshold work, those double days, those single days, I don't think I've got any shoe in my rotation that's better. I need to stock up on these shoes. I've got a fresh pair for race day, and then they'll be great for the next threshold training block, but I do need to try and locate those in any outlet stores that get them. Why I find them to be so good is I get the super shoe benefit, because they are a super shoe. I get a good stack of Lightstrike Pro, which is one of my favorite midsoles, and I get rods in there, which add a bit of stability, add a bit of pop, without taking away the natural foot flexion. So with the carbon plate, you can often find your foot is rigid, and as you roll through it, kind of your foot stays like this, or in a natural foot motion, you kind of like roll on the outside of your pinky and push off on your big toe. Those shoes allow for that a little bit more. If I run in carbon plates that are quite aggressive, I can often find that I get Achilles and calf issues, and I've never ever had it in the Pro 3. So I get all the benefits of performance and recovery from a super shoe without beating up my legs. Now, the only consideration or change that I would have is maybe a fresh pair of Evo SLs, because again, I've loved those. I've just not bought another pair yet because I've been trying to get other shoes in for testing. They would be ideal in this marathon training block. But as for my 3 shoe rotation, out of this list of 8 that I've been testing, I would definitely keep the Gel Nimbus for those easy days. They've been really good. I think there are better easy day shoes out there, and I would always choose a lighter package, but they have surprised me, and I have been surprised at how much I've enjoyed that shoe. Bit of a shock, to be honest with you. When it comes to the other stuff, I'd probably use the Pro 3 for those threshold and speedy days, and then I would also use the Deviate Nitro Elite 3 in there for some of those other faster workouts, because I feel like I can go quicker on that one and keep a heart rate a little bit lower. I always find that I get the edge when I run in the Deviate Nitro Elite 3. Those 3 for me would be absolutely ideal. I kind of am treating the Adios Pro 3 not really as a super shoe, even though it is. I just do all of my workouts in that shoe, and I wouldn't want anything else. So I would then, as I said, keep the Deviate for some of those faster workouts where I can really turn the screw a bit. And as for those 2 shoes I mentioned earlier on about what I wished I had into the rotation, Brooks Hyperion 3. So I'm really always on the lookout for something that's non-plated, decent stack, slightly firmer. The Brooks Performance shoes have always worked relatively well with me. As I kind of alluded to earlier, not a huge fan of the way the Hyperion Max 2 and 3 have gone. Still decent shoes, but not really what I need. The Hyperion Max original version was great. The original Hyperion was not particularly great. The version 2 of the Hyperion added a couple of mil stack. That became a bit better, and I think version 3 has added another couple of mil, so they are now very similar to what the original Hyperion Max was. Would love to get a pair of those. The other one, of course, the Asics Mega Blast. I was out in the morning of the release of those, noticed that Sport Shoes and Asics had a size 13 in stock. I did quickly check on my phone. I thought I'll order some of those when I get back home. When I got back, of course, the 13s had sold out. So obviously wasn't that many of them. So I am going to be keeping my eye on future colorway drops. At that point, that's when I then decided to order the Metaspeed Sky Tokyo. I've been hovering on that one for a while, and I thought, well, I can't moan about the fact that Asics don't make my size in their super shoes and then never test them when they do. So of course I grabbed a pair of those at that point instead, and now I'm going to be waiting for a color update on the Mega Blast. That will be the next two that I would love to test. So there we go, those are the 8 shoes wrapped up into the top 3 that I would probably keep if I just had the 3 shoes. I'd love to hear from you guys what your marathon training shoe rotation has been. Of course, we are all now approaching those autumn marathons. Please do drop a comment below about the ones that have really worked for you, maybe the ones that haven't. It'd be great to hear what your favorites are down there. That's it from me, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, please check out this video up here as to why the Puma Fast Art is definitely not going to be my racing shoe of choice, as I mentioned earlier. Or if you missed the recent half marathon video, I'll leave that one down here for you to check out, and I'll see you over on one of those.